So, Mary, let's start with Mooney University. We heard about your experience and the interest of your students in having frequent simulation. And we heard about that from MUST as well, from the Student Voices study this morning. Now, you have successfully scheduled weekly simulation sessions for your students. Can you tell us about how you manage that?
Yeah, thank you very much. So, as I said earlier, we only have a Bachelor of Nursing course at the Faculty of Health Sciences, and we do simulation with Year 3 students. So we have actually allocated Wednesday afternoons from 2 p.m. up to 5 p.m. for simulation. So it is actually quite simple because we have, on average, a total of about 34 students right now. So it's quite easy. We divide them into groups of, say, 5 or 6. So we take them in shifts, so it's quite easy to fix it. Thank you.
Thanks very much. So the class size is a factor. Yes. So maybe I'll turn to Prof. Yiltok. You have a fairly large program at your university with large class sizes. So how do you manage the scheduling with a larger class size?
Thank you very much. Currently, is not an adopted schedule in our program. We're still trying to get a buy-in. But I think currently the way we run our program, apart from the lectures, the students are usually shared into, like, let me give an example, pediatrics, ONG, and community medicine. They have a period that currently we have a set there, and they are divided into 3 groups. So it makes it quite easy. And I recall just recently, Professor Amaka, we were able to organize a session for the entire set doing OBGYN. So the way our curriculum is structured, even with the large class, you'll be able to do that conveniently because you'll be able to have them in batches that you could be able to run. And a way to overcome this is, which is the plan we have, is to develop a large faculty base. So it makes it very easy for you to run a scenario when you have facilitators that are on ground. So, and that's how we've been able to run that. And some few weeks back in anesthesiology, Henry, they were able to, run simulation for over 100 students. So once you have them in the way we rotate them in batches, that's what has enabled us to overcome that challenge.
Great, thanks so much. And now we'll turn to you, Dr. Edgar from Tanzania. You talked a little bit about the fact that you have a low fidelity and a high fidelity mannequin setup in your simulation center. And you showed us the timetable where you had the color coding of your micro timetable schedule. I'm wondering, when you've got students and faculty, instructors coming in, and you've got them scheduled, how do you split between, how do you decide between low and high fidelity? And I guess, how do you build interest in attending a low fidelity program?
At course, we have divided our SIM-Lab into 2 groups. One is low fidelity, and the other part is high fidelity. Because the high fidelity is a very expensive mannequin, not everybody is allowed to be participating in that area. Only anesthetists, students who are training on anesthesiology are the one who are using the high fidelity mannequin. And they are usually coming to the SIM-Lab on every Wednesday evening from evening hours, at least 3 hours. And they are usually divided into 2 groups. one group will be in the SIM lab and another group in the debriefing. So those ones who are in debriefing, they will be observing the one who are participating in the actual SIM lab. And then they come back and they get their feedback, what was going on and so forth. For low fidelity, this one has been divided into departments. We know at our course we have two schools, School of Nursing and School of Medicine. For School of Medicine, we have 4 departments. That is pediatrics, surgery, internal medicine, and obstetrics. And for School of Nursing, they have their own schedule. My colleague James usually coordinates the School of Nursing. So in order to minimize confusion, and we have done a master time schedule where each department knows at what time they can use their SIM lab. But we are still having challenges because we don't have a person who is dedicated full-time as an employee who works in the SIM lab. So they usually contact us, but also we have decided each department there will be a team lead, and that one has to coordinate the sessions. For our obstetrics and gynecology, we usually allow only senior MD students, that is MD5. And when they come to our department, there are 44 students. So we usually divide them on a weekly basis because they will stay with us for 4 to 6 weeks. So you can take 7 students per week, and then after 5 weeks, all students will have passed through. But sometimes when we have enough time, we use other facilitators because in my department, we have a course coordinator and 6 facilitators who are already being trained. If they have sufficient time, then they can participate on arranging the simulation training for students. What students they say about it, they like a lot because they have an opportunity to share what they experience, and they have an opportunity of getting feedback compared to going straight to the clinical ward.
Great, thank you. And then if you've got a question down that you've written, please put your hand up, and then we'll have someone come and pick up a question from you. Okay, I think that's our rapporteurs at the back. Are you able to pick up the questions from anyone? I have a question I wanted to ask all of you. Each of you in the presentation so far has touched on your next steps and what you hope to go forward with in simulation in your settings. If you had to choose one priority from among your next steps, what would it be?
For us, of course, we have decided, because we are still having challenges with the specialists coming to our SIM lab. I think the most important step for us, we have decided residents, especially senior residents, should receive a facilitation course so that they can be our teachers and help us on teaching students. But also this will be like a pioneer for them to, once they're finished, they'll be the ones to spread the information of simulation to their center where they're coming from.
Okay, so medical residents both as facilitators
Yes.
and champions. Yes. Okay.
Okay. For us, because of the space constraint, that takes priority. We've been given an area which we need to secure and demarcate the area so that we'll be able to, run simulation for a large group of students within a short time. That's our top priority, and maybe the rest things would be like certain equipment that will be able to help. But top on the list is securing a space so that we'll be able to have a functional schedule.
And for long-term sustainability of the program. Okay, Mary.
Thank you very much. For us, I would choose securing a permanent simulation lab, because right now we are using nursing skills lab. Then also we are using part of anatomy lab. So if we could secure a permanent simulation lab, that would be our first priority. Thank you.
Thanks. So also the ongoing sustainability of the program with a fixed space. Okay, great. Thank you. Any questions from the audience?